program are those of the speakers and the host and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside Running Point on ysnlive.com. Anthony Hartwig here with Richie Giuliano in the guest chair, as he is every Wednesday. Richie, thank you for coming on like you do and giving us your time on a Wednesday for Running Point. And this is a great day. We had a lot of really cool results from yesterday, Richie. We had some more record breakers.
Yep.
We had an eye-popping assist number that came out of Southern. I just got the stats this morning, and I had to double check because I'm telling, when I got this number and I told you about it, I was like, wait a minute.
It's accurate though.
But it's accurate. 62 assists from Riley Malott from Southern. 62 assists.
And if you watched that game last night or that match, you could see the back and forth battle between Columbiana and Southern. It was like every point was magnified towards the end of the match. And I talked to Siggy last night. He was on the call. He did a great job. And I told him, hey, go home and drink a lot of honey because your voice has to be hurting after that. That was a long match. But it was so funny because, Southern would get a point. Then Columbiana would get a point. Southern would put it in the net. Columbiana would put it in the net. It was like neither team wanted to separate themselves and get on a rally scoring match. It was insane.
Until that fifth set.
Yeah, the fifth set opened up. The floodgates kind of opened where, Southern really kind of struggled to receive some serves.
And that, they won set 4 to force the set 5. So it's weird that they just never really could get momentum in that fifth set. I've never really seen a fifth set go 15-1 before.
That was definitely weird.
I've seen 15-5 is basically the most lot, but usually your fifth set's pretty competitive because it's a competitive match. Obviously, if it goes 5 sets, usually that fifth set's really, can't do that. Pretty comparable. The split cam set for our tracker game.
Yeah, I see.
So I'm trying to flip between us.
I wanted to give a shout out real quick. While we have the opportunity to Columbiana and Southern for what they did last night. I don't know if you were able to see, but they wore pink jerseys. Both of them did. I tuned in and I'm like, well, I don't really know who's who right now, but I guess I'll figure it out. But
I think Columbiana was in the slightly darker pink.
Yeah, but that was all in good spirit because they were supporting a member of the Columbiana family and raising money for that particular person. So they've raised over $2,000 from what Chris Ziegler said last night on the broadcast. So we want to give a shout out to the Columbiana faithful, that community, and what they're doing to raise money for that family. And, our best and our wishes go out to the entire family out there in Columbiana.
There are a couple really awesome moments going on right now in sports. I don't know if you saw what's going on with Marlington football this week against West Branch. Obviously, a West Branch cheerleader got into a pretty bad car accident over the weekend. And because of that, Marlington is actually taking it upon themselves to have a pink night and a fundraiser night in Marlington this week for Marlington versus West Branch football. All the proceeds of shirt sales and bake sales and all that stuff that Marlington's putting on will go to the family of the West Branch leader that is really struggling right now with a pretty serious car accident.
That's awesome. And I mean, that's why we do this, right? We've done a lot of our all-star games where we give money back to certain charities. And, that's the great thing about covering high school sports in our area, because I think we're blessed with great people in Youngstown. I think, especially small communities around this area have that tight family bond to where, even if your neighbor's sick or somebody's in trouble, that they're always going to have your back and they're always going to be there for you every step of the way. So, I think we're blessed in the Youngstown area to have such great people and, great communities. We saw it last night. I heard nothing but, great things at the Golden Dawn. Steve Leslie called me this morning and told me that when he stepped into the Dawn for those interviews with Ursuline yesterday, couldn't find a table, couldn't find a bar stool. I mean, it was completely packed. Just the support that, they're giving to that school and those players and families. It's fun to watch. And I think that's what makes our job so special, being able to cover these athletes and, being able to cover these communities in such a special way.
Let's be real. That was a packed show last night for Steve.
Yeah,
I think he had the biggest show of the season so far with cross country. He had girls golf, boys golf. He had Coach's Corner, of course, with Dan Reardon. He had a couple of football players and his weekly conversations with cheerleaders that are seniors as well, part of that cheerleading program. So, man, I think they put up 8 pieces of content just with Ursuline interviews last night. And as content director, that just made me, yes, let's go.
I give a shout out to Anthony Romo as well.
Oh, yes.
He told me last night he didn't know whether Steve was going to do those interviews together or separate with some of the golf players and some of the track runners. So he created 11 different stories for you to post last night. So big shout out to him. We appreciate his work. He was busy doing Youngstown State volleyball, and then he hopped over to the Dawn. So, thanks to them as well. The Golden Dawn.
Putting in the extra work. No one is holding a gun to Richie's head and saying, you have to go after you work a volleyball game at YSU, which you and I know that there's a little bit more that goes into a college volleyball broadcast, and you have to be there a little bit longer than high school. So you have to go from that, and then you're just going to go to the Golden Dawn, write 11 stories.
Yeah.
Might use them, might not.
Yeah, you never know.
That's over the top work. That's what we love at YSN. That's what a lot of our announcers do, and a lot of our employees do. So props to those guys. We want to wish the best of luck tonight to Jake Silak, by the way, who is taking his first venture into the interviews and the player profiles and the coaches' corners with Brian Shaner at the Post Office Pub down there from Middle Ridge.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. Great to have another school on. We're also going to have Austintown Fitch coming up pretty soon at the Sam's Wedge Inn. So, not only when you look at this, if you're out there, part of our YSN family, not only are you supporting those athletes and those kids that show up on a weekly basis to do those interviews, but you're also supporting local businesses. I mean, look at the business that, the Golden Dawn is getting on those Tuesday nights with all those people in there. Hopefully we could have that same result for the Post Office Pub, Coca's Pizza, Sam's Wedge Inn, all of our sponsors that are willing to dish out money that they give to us in these schools so that we're able to put on that show whatever night they do it.
All right, so real quick, just back to this West Branch Marlington game real quick, what Marlington is putting on for Grace Leask, who is the West Branch cheerleader that is dealing with such a hard time right now. They are selling shirts at the game, pink shirts. All the proceeds will go to Grace's family, and they also want everyone to know that if you want to give a card or your thoughts or a note or whatever to Grace in the hospital, make sure you can drop those off at the West Branch High School office. Just keep that young lady in your thoughts and prayers. We have a lot of programs that are just going through some tough situations right now.
Yeah,
it's really sad.
It is. It's really sad because these kids they're young, man. I mean, they're not mature. They're emotional, obviously, when things like this happen. And I think we saw that affect one team earlier in the week on the volleyball court. Not going to say which team. And
a couple of volleyball teams are just going through it right now.
They're going through it, but I guess that's the part of growing up, and how you get through adversity. It's character building. And you'd rather have it now in life than when you're 40 years old. So, God bless all of our athletes, all of our coaches that are going through it right now. And, hopefully they're able to get through it, and we'll be by their side in whatever way we can help. We'll do so.
Life's always going to hit you. You just never get to pick when it does.
Yep.
You're going to get it. You're going to go through something eventually.
Yeah.
You just don't get to pick when it happens. And like you said, sometimes it's better off to get it out sooner than later, but And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're done with it either.
No,
That's the way the universe works, unfortunately.
it never stops, right? I mean, there's something, daily that's going to happen to you. I don't know what it is, but it'll happen. And how you get through it is the big thing.
We had some more results to come through last night as we venture on another record-breaking performance for Grace Hour from Crestview.
Mm-hmm.
This girl now has the trifecta of ace records in the Crestview program because last night she broke the record for aces in a season. She now has 80 and counting this year, which broke the record of Amelia Montgomery. All three ace records, by the way, were held by Amelia Montgomery, so she's broken all of them now. She has the aces in a career record, aces in a match record, now aces in a season record. Crestview won pretty handily over Newton Falls, 25-9, 25-15, 25-10. As far as the stats go, Hour was able to have a triple-double on the night, 17 kills, 16 assists, 15 digs. Abby Ems contributed with 13 kills, 3 blocks. Lainey Hour had 15 assists and 6 kills. Crestview is 13-0 on the season, and they will host Cardinal Mooney tonight.
Okay. Yeah, that should be a good match for Hour to put up the numbers that she has. I mean, a triple-double is so hard to find in volleyball. 17 kills, 16 assists, and 15 digs. She pretty much did it all last night for Crestview. And, this is a team right now.
Here's something that's even more impressive, Richie. I didn't mean to cut you off, but she's doing that in 3 sets.
Yep,
3 sets. And they're not really long sets either. Like 25-9, 25-15. What was the last one? What did I say it was? 25-10. So that's not a lot of points compared to some of these teams that are playing 5-set matches, 4-set matches. You have three short sets to get a triple-double.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about Malott for Southern, and, it's still impressive what she was able to do last night.
62 is a monster. I've never seen 62 assists in a match. I've seen 48. I think 48 before that was the high number on YSN this season.
Yep.
62 is ridiculous.
But what I'm getting to is, Malott does that in 5 sets where you were playing 25-24, right? 26-24. Like those were high scoring points where you're able to get a lot of those assists because of how many points and how long these sets were taking. For her to do it in 3 sets is remarkable. 17 kills, 16 assists, and 15 digs. Like, it's really impressive that you get over 60 assists if you're a setter in any match, not taking away anything from you there. Still remarkable, but to do it in 3 sets, I think, is even more challenging.
The numbers that all of them are putting up this year, and Crestview is playing almost exclusively 3 sets. They've lost.
Well, they haven't lost
no sets yet.
Sets,
actually, I should say not almost exclusively. It is exclusively.
Yeah,
they have not lost a set yet this season. So, and most of them have been pretty uncompetitive. Yeah. They've had 1 set this year that pushed them to extra points, 27-25. But other than that, everything's been 25-15, 25-10, 25-9. They've just been dominating their opponents, and their players are still putting up triple doubles.
I think they're better than they were last year.
I think so too. I think as scary as that is, and as much as I think I think they do miss Shelby Rambo, a second middle to come in when Abby Ems rotates out. But now they're moving Abby Ems around a lot more. Grace Hour is such a good setter that they can set her 1 balls or whatever they want. They can really set anything with the middle. Their defense is so good. They have outside hitters when Grace Hour isn't setting. She's a great outside hitter. That's why she's getting the kills that she is. It's a dynamic offense. It's hard to stop. The only question I have, and this will be answered in a couple of weeks, when they get into those games where these volleyball teams can match them up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because really they just, to no fault of their own, you play who you play in your conference. They've just been head and shoulders above everyone on their schedule so far. They end their schedule with Fitch, Girard, Salem, Boardman, back to back. So we'll see how they respond to that. I know Girard will give them a test. I know Girard will come in and be a tough volleyball match.
So an interesting conversation that Anthony Romo and myself had on the Power Hour, and this question was brought to us by Chris Ziegler, and he asked us on the football side of things, would you rather be an independent school right now or be in a conference? Because independently, you get to go out and you get to pick your own schedule. Being in a conference, like you said, you're strapped to play those certain teams. So, I kind of want to hear your opinion on the volleyball side, because if you had a team like Crestview that was independent, you could go out and you could pick the best schools around this area, and they're going to play you.
Right.
So I get for other sports, you want to be in a conference because you're locked in for those particular matches and games. But I kind of want to hear your opinion on this a little bit about, whether you as an AD, if you were the Crestview AD right now, whether as a volleyball team you would rather be independent or in that conference.
I think there are benefits to being in a conference, but when you have a program, and obviously you can't make a decision as an AD based on one program, but when you're in a program that is, has aspirations of state, right? That like this is what we are. We're a state caliber kind of volleyball team. Man, would I love to just go play whoever I wanted to play.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, the conference, sorry about it. We're not at that level of volleyball. We need to expose ourselves to more. That would be a great fix. And we've seen, remember South Range's resurgence as a football program started as an independent before the NEA was founded.
That's what I mean.
That season they were independent really just spark plugged to where they are now. The last 5 years of dominance that they've really had, starting in 2017 before the NEA was, the NEA was decided, but it wasn't created yet. Like it didn't start yet. So they were independent for like 1 or 2 years, and boom, that just got them so ready for, being the smallest school in NEA. But then there are challenges, right? Like we see Louisville, they have brutal schedule.
Yeah.
And they're 1 win on the season in football, and they can't really get out of it because there's no conference teams to really help them out of that slump. So there are definitely downfalls to it. Like everything, there's pros and cons. But I think if you're a program that's trying to, get yourself to state, independent schedules would be amazing. They benefit Ursuline. They benefit, Mooney, because Mooney's going to get into that D5 playoffs if they do.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, this team doesn't see anyone we see. This team doesn't see anyone we see. We are ready for this level of football.
See, when we were talking about this in football, I see a lot of pros and cons, almost like a double-edged sword.
Right.
Take Canfield, for example, this week.
Technically independent, right?
And they don't have a game.
Right.
So you could run into those situations where you can't find people to play you, because if you think about it, weeks 7 through 10 are usually dominated by conference and dominated by rivals. So it can be very difficult to find somebody around this area to play you. But the good thing about volleyball is I think there's a lot more pros of being independent than cons, because you don't have those 10 weeks that you have to fit in, right? You could stretch out your games and matches to where you could play certain matches or try matches on Saturday and maybe just play one during the week.
Right.
So I see a lot of pros compared to football where there could be a lot of cons to that.
And that's why you see a lot of independent volleyball teams not play on Tuesday or Thursday, because that's when usually teams are playing their conference games. So usually those independents will play on Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, where teams can kind of fit those into their schedule.
Yeah, you're right. I agree. I mean, it's for sure a conversation that I think has a good argument on both sides. And, we talked about this on our Power Hour on Monday, and I thought it was a great conversation to where we're seeing a lot more teams go independent now than we've seen in the past. Like you were almost strapped to a conference in the past, right? And if you weren't, you were kind of like the lone wolf. But now there's more teams that are starting to become independent because of that.
And I just wonder, because I've talked to Coach Howard about it before, like the schedule. And, with basketball, you have Christmas break. You can go wherever you want to kind of play these big tournaments. Columbus, some teams actually go down to that ESPN Wild World of Sports for a Florida kind of tournament in basketball. Baseball, softball, you have spring break, so you can go wherever you want. Myrtle Beach, Tennessee, all those different places that baseball and softball teams go. There's no break for fall sports. There's no the Halloween break where you can take a team out to Columbus for the weekend and not worry about missing school.
The only thing that we see for fall sports is the summer, right? I mean, we've talked about it. We've seen a couple teams that go on certain trips to Sandusky and Cedar Point during the summer, and might play a team just for fun and a scrimmage during the summer. But that's about it. That's the only time you have off, and there's certain limitations to that as well. As there's regulations by the state saying, hey, you can't officially get in the weight room until this day as a team. You can't be doing workouts on the field until this day. So, it kind of straps you on time, especially in the summer. But, you're right. The fall is tough. I think, winter sports, they have that break when it's Christmas time that you could go play whoever you want. You could play in these tournaments that we have some special tournaments around that time. So, scheduling is definitely a challenge for a lot of the athletic directors during the fall. But I think that's what makes the fall fun, because it's a continuance from start to finish. There's no break.
What's making things a lot easier is now there are a lot of really good volleyball teams in our area that you don't have to travel too far to play.
You don't have to travel at all.
That's why Crestview playing Girard and Fitch and Boardman back to back to back, and then they'll fit Salem in there too. So those are 4 upper level volleyball teams that are 2 or 3 divisions ahead of them that they can go and they can play. The unfortunate thing, I think Crestview and Coach Hauer would have loved to start the season with a couple of non-conference tests too, because they started with conference. And they're 13-0 right now. They really haven't played anyone that's given them much of a test. McDonald was supposed to, but, they lost their setter middle of the season. And that was one of the games where they were just trying to figure things out, who was going to set for them. They're running a 6-2 now. So McDonald was supposed to be a midseason test for Crestview. Unluckily for them, you can't control what other programs go through in the middle of the season.
I know that Cardinal Mooney is going to take on Crestview tonight at Crestview. We'll have it. Noah Doty will be on the call, and I think that'll be a good challenge for them at a conference. I mean, that's kind of a match you're looking forward to. You were able to see Mooney last night, and their tough loss to Boardman, but that's still a good volleyball program.
Mooney might have the best middle that Crestview's seen yet to this point, with Maria Fire, and they have a senior setter in Addison Stacy that can get the ball to her. So that'll at least give Crestview something where, because when they go up against, Fitch and Girard, they're going to attack Abby Imps in the middle. They're going to make her prove that she can get up and get those blocks and be able to defend the middle of the net. So when you have a middle like Mooney with Maria Fire, it's gonna force Abby Imps to be at her best, which I think is really good, because a lot of teams on that Crestview schedule don't have the personnel to even try to compete with Abby Imps.
They just don't have anybody in the middle, and that's right. That's the most difficult part of volleyball. If you could defend the middle, you could defend anybody. Right. But that's the problem when you go around the valley. I mean, you got certain teams like Lakeview. They've got a great middle and Schneider, and then you go to the outside, and it's like, who do we stop? You got Lytle, and then you got Schmader as well.
Right.
And so it's like,
and then don't forget Reagan Price comes in. Price comes in when Lytle rotates out of the front row. It's like, well, there's one middle, but there's another.
Yep. So you got Schmader, Price, and Lytle. You're right. They run 2 middles at one time because, you've seen it, of course, when Lytle goes back to serve, and then Price comes in. So it's like pick your poison.
And they're both like tall.
Yeah.
They're both good. And then they have setters that can get it to them in Mylock and Pavlansky. So you never get a break from middle offense. And Girard is really coming into her own. Ezra Dede. I know a lot of people talk about, Bree Littell and Lauren Pallone in their own right, which they should be talked about. They're superstars on that team. Ezra Dede has really started to grow as a middle hitter for Girard. That was the difference in the second matchup with Lakeview. She was just a little bit better, and she took away, in the first matchup, Lakeview had 38 kills out of the middle, combined with Reagan Price and Tyra Lytle. Second matchup, it was closer to 26 combined. So they took away about 12 kills out of the middle for Lakeview, which was what Girard just didn't do to win that game.
What about Cochran, too? I mean, she had a great
Nico
night.
Cochran really put up a good night against Lakeview for sure, because they set her on the right side, and Lakeview couldn't adjust to that. They just didn't have the blockers. I think Cochran had 9 kills, but 6 of them came in that last set that Girard won in 3. I did not expect a sweep in that game.
No.
Against Fitch. They swept Fitch. They beat Lakeview, of course, as well.
And they just swept Poland
last night.
Just
swept Poland. So Girard's on a roll.
Yep.
That's for sure.
They've now won 5 matches in a row. They've lost 2 sets during this stretch, and they're going to play South Range on Thursday at home, and then you kind of get out of conference a little bit. So you're going to have Crestview, you're going to have Salem, you're going to have Gilmore Academy, who's a great volleyball program. So I like what Girard's doing. Coach Walters, who's got a great squad, he wants to get them battle tested before they enter that postseason, because they're a division up from a lot of our other volleyball schools around this area. So it's going to be a challenge for sure once you get into those D2 playoff rankings. So it's going to be tough, but I think Girard's lucky to have so many Division III talented programs around them.
And then when you look at Girard, that Gilmore Academy game, I wish it was in Girard. I wish we could go to
it's at Gilmore,
because
that's
going to be such a good volleyball match.
Yeah, that's up there. I know Gilmore. They're good at a lot of things, and volleyball is one of them. So
they're good at the ancillary Olympic sports.
Yeah,
like they have a hockey team that's ridiculous.
They have 2 hockey rinks up there, actually.
I remember talking to their softball coach who went to the district championship last year, and I was talking to her before the game started. You have anyone that's going to play softball in college? No, but we have about 3 or 4 hockey players that have been committed to college hockey.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Didn't
All right.
expect that. But it's a different mindset out there. Like they don't necessarily put stock in some of the big money sports.
Not
They're
football, yeah.
their football. It's mid. They don't even have lights at their stadium.
Yeah.
But their swim team and their volleyball team and their like we said their hockey.
For hockey.
They're sports that people go to specialize in. Because you spend a lot of money to go to Gilmore
Yeah,
Academy.
you do spend a lot of money. A lot more than Ursuline and Moody.
You've seen that the drone shot of their campus. It looks like
It's a college campus.
and you're saying they're Division III, in every sport except football. Obviously, in football, I think they're 5.
Well, they're actually having a good football season this year. Gilmore is. I mean, they're one of the top teams.
Oh
in
yeah,
that
they're
region.
a good football team,
But
they just don't put a lot of
They don't put a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
Like compared to the 2 hockey rinks that they built. So you're right. And people come from all over the country to go there.
Right.
It's not just localized in Cleveland. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a great matchup. That's a great way to end the season. I mean, that's going to be a test the 13th of October, which is coming up pretty quick if you think about it.
Richie, over the weekend, I texted you the score from that Division III district that we're going to see Crestview and Lakeview, and
It's going to be
Middle
tough.
Ridge playing. Kirtland beat Lake Center Christian, right? So
Yeah.
now you have the top team in the state in Lake Center Christian, number 1 team in the state. You have 13 Kirtland. You have 6 Lakeview, 10 Crestview, and I think 16 Middle Ridge,
Yeah.
all in that district. So
That's brutal.
I didn't when we were talking about last week, I didn't realize Kirtland was like state ranked that good.
Oh, they're good.
Kirtland's 13. So now, and we were talking 4 last week when we were talking about it. Now where it's like, no, there are 5 state ranked teams in that one district.
Yeah. And that's why I think Crestview needed to bolster up their schedule towards the end of the season. Because once you get past second round, most likely of the playoffs, every match is going to be tough. It's almost like in football, we have Division III, Region 9 with Cheney, Ursuline, Canfield, and Chardon. Once you get past that first and second round, buckle up because you're playing the best of the best throughout the state. So, of course, the first round is going to probably be a cakewalk. You're probably going to play a low seed. But once you get past those first 2 rounds, it's going to be brutal. I mean, you better get ready for some top volleyball around the state.
That's going to be a dramatic difference because last year Crestview wasn't even tested until that district championship, and even then it was a sweep. So this year, whether they'll probably avoid Lake Center. Lake Center.
They'll be on different sides of the
I
bracket.
imagine Lake Center will get the 1 seed. If they're the top ranked team in the state, I highly doubt they won't get the 1 seed. But then we pick your poison. Do you have to battle with Lakeview? Do you have to battle with Middle Ridge? Do you have to battle with Kirtland? Do you have to battle with some of the other teams in that district that are Moody? Who's going to be in your district that's really going to give you a hard time? You can't avoid all of them. And I guarantee wherever Lake Center goes, a lot of those teams are going to be like, we'd rather play Crestview.
I don't know. If I was Crestview, I would not want to play Lakeview with their middle presence. I think that's going to be one of the most difficult teams for them to beat.
I think Coach Howard would say to that last year we played Lakeview
and they beat them,
and we swept them.
But this year they're way better.
I know.
They're way better.
They've
got so many weapons.
Which is insane because it's the same roster.
Yeah.
Like Lakeview has exactly the same players as last year. 2 years ago, that Lakeview team was extremely dominant. Last year, it was just they were good. They were a good volleyball team, a great record, beat almost everyone in the NE8 except Gerard. They just had that touch difference. I don't know what it was, but this year they fixed it.
No, they for sure have. And, I think it's a team thing. When you got Maggie Pavlansky setting the way she has, and you got so many options to go to, whether it's in the middle or cross court with the Schmaders. So, I think they have so many more weapons. And right now, I think, Crestview might be a little worried playing Lakeview in the playoffs. And, especially because they haven't seen them yet this season.
Chris Ziegler reminding us that, other sports have more out-of-conference opportunities. Only 14 conference games out of 22 total. Football, you
said 10.
Some of them have 7 conference games out of 10 games.
And then 3 non-conference, yeah. So you're limited on your non-conference selection. And we talked about this on Monday. So it's different. It's definitely different when you look at volleyball because you have more opportunities
But
to go out
I
and play
wonder
non-conference.
how close is, let's see, that would be you'd get 8 non-conference games out of 22. What percentage of 22 is that compared to 30% of
I'm not good at math.
I know, me neither. That's why I was like, let's get our calculator out and see.
What do you want?
So like you would have 8 out of 22 games in a volleyball season be non-conference. So 8 divided by 22 is 36%.
36%
So it sounds, but it's really not that much more when you talk about percentage of the season. It says more games.
yeah.
More games you can play, more teams you can play. But the percentage of the season at least is roughly the same. That's what you mean.
Okay, that's what. All right, I get what he's saying
Right.
now. Yeah.
And he also points out that East Liverpool will be at Crestview on Monday. That'll be a good one too. East Liverpool coming into the season right now 13-1.
Yeah.
Just that one loss to Carrollton on Monday night.
Yeah, that's going to be a great match. I'm pretty positive we're most likely.
I think
gonna have that one
Sigley is
covered.
actually going to go down there and do it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is. Siggy's on the schedule right now, so I mean that's going to be a fun match. East Liverpool and Crestview. So Crestview they're going to get some tough matches coming up.
She definitely back into that schedule.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talked about it. Non-conference was not a thing in the early half of the schedule for Crestview.
They started with conference. I think the first 9 games or so were conference games. They played maybe 1 or 2 non-conference in the middle. They got right back into conference play. So right now, out of 13 games, I think only 2 of them for Crestview have been non-conference.
Wow. But like you said, back-ended, they're going to play everybody non-conference before they get to the playoffs. So, smart design by Coach Auer and, their coaching staff, their athletic director to kind of build that schedule the way it is, because we talked about they breezed through everything right now.
Right.
I mean, they haven't had a difficult set outside of one throughout the season. So I think it's actually important for Crestview to lose a set before they get to the playoffs, because they're going to have to face some adversity once they get to the districts.
Or not lose a set, but do it against quality teams. If you take Fitch in 3, that's like,
well,
who's in a
if you take Fitch in 3, I think you got a chance to be the number 1 team.
Right.
Come postseason.
I'm excited to see Jocelyn Jordan go up against Abby Emsch.
Well, I'm excited first off to see them play Canfield again tomorrow night.
Yes.
Because that's going to be a good match. I think Canfield, who's won 4 games in a row, they've won 12 consecutive sets. They've swept their last 4. So, that's a good team that's kind of on a roll. They're playing well defensively. Therefore, they're getting some good looks offensively. And I think that Canfield's going to be motivated. Poland, of course, is always going to be their rival. But, in conference play now that Poland moved to the NE8, Fitch is their big one. That's the big one. And last year they got them, to win the conference on their home court. So
in 5 last
year.
And
they got them in this season, which you called about, what was it, 2 weeks ago? So they're ready to go.
You talked to that program like Fitch is their rival.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Nesbitt after the match against Poland, and she said because she knew she was from Boardman, she came in, she knew about the rivalry. The players were amped up, especially because they lost their match against them the first time around in 4 sets at home, and I think it'll always be nice to go and play a little spoiler. At Austintown Fitch. So Ty Bartell is going to have that one for you tomorrow night, 7:00 is first serve.
I was talking to Coach Nesbitt on Saturday. I had their win against Talmadge, which a lot of people maybe don't know. Talmadge is a really good team. They're a 10-win team coming out of the Suburban League. But I was talking to Coach Nesbitt, and I said, I think your team's playing the best they've played all season.
Oh, they have.
They played consistent sets. All 3 sets were just consistently good. Mm-hmm. Their defense was ridiculous. Not just Parker Wilkins back there. Alana Lawson was putting up balls really well. Even Maddie Cleveley had a really good game, not just hitting, but defensively. They were getting in the system, and when they get in the system, they can get McElroy involved. They just looked very consistent, and they hadn't looked consistent the last couple times I got to see them play. So a consistently good Canfield team. They have a lot of talent on that team. So if they can just find consistency, I think they have a chance to really give Fitch a test.
And I'll give a shout out to Riley Kincaid, who's making that all happen, right? I mean, she had 1,000 assists, and Slavin gets a little bit in there in the mix, but for the most part, Riley Kincaid does a fantastic job being able to mix it up, going to the middle, cross court with her sets outside to Cleveley. Isabella Bucciarelli had a great match against Poland, and then you also have another hitter on the right side who will kind of run the swing play as well. And it's fun to watch when you have a good pass to Kincaid and she's able to do her work, because I know Being her neighbor, she's put so much work in over the last couple of years, and traveling all over the place for summer volleyball. So it's actually refreshing to go there and talk to her parents, and then being able to watch her and see her succeed.
It was also really nice to see Addie Fonderland start to get involved a little bit in that win against Talmadge. I mean, when they can add her to the offensive game plan as well, then that's just another tool in their chest when McElroy's not in the front row.
Yeah, it's kind of the sneaky player that comes off. Doesn't play every set throughout the match, but when she comes on, I think she does some damage because nobody's expected number 11 to come out there in the middle and produce like she has this season. So it's a senior-led team, of course. I think they got 9 total seniors this year, and they all start. So, this is kind of their year to make a run, and, they definitely have had a lot of tough tests to get to that point.
Mike Schweinhart pointing out that in soccer, the NE8 has everyone to play each other twice. In the EBC, everyone they play each other only once. That gives the NE8 only 2 to 3 non-conference games. The EBC has 11 to 12 non-conference games. So every conference, that kind of points out every conference is different.
They're different, yeah.
And the NE8 has more teams too. So EBC only has 6 right now. So you're playing them once. So you have 6 conference games, and that gives you 11 non-conference games.
And obviously the NE8 has 8. So, I mean, you're playing 16. Great math there.
You'd think that would be obvious, but, in college, they've made those numbers
like
irrelevant.
The Big Ten. It's like
Big 10, 14.
Yeah, it's like, what is the point of calling yourself the Big
Ten? And it's going to be bigger because they're getting more teams going to come in. And like the Big 12, not 12.
No.
The Pac-12, not 12.
They should just change it to the Big 14.
Let's call it the Pac. I know Pac's taken by some other conferences, but Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. It's not the 12.
That's right.
It's not 12. It's Pac like 13.
Yeah.
And they're going to lose a lot of teams too. Crazy. So you never know. NE8, obviously, this is their last year with Jefferson, so they have to find somebody to keep it 8.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about Jefferson leaving. Yeah, well, there's probably a couple.
I think they'll find
here.
somebody.
Yeah.
There's some rumors floating around.
Yeah, they'll definitely. I mean, it's a good conference. It's pretty much stacked in every sport. So I think the NE8's in a good spot to where they don't have to go to athletic administrators. They're going to be getting a lot of bids.
We have a big rest of the show for you guys. Richie, what's going to be on the show today? We're at Brian Tolnar at 1. Then we have Nate Kelly from East Liverpool Volleyball. He'll be joining us around 1:20 to talk about his golf career at East Liverpool, a very good golfer for the Potters. We also have a interview that we're going to play with Brooke Steiner from Lakeview. Got a chance to talk with her yesterday. So we're going to be able to play that as well. We'll talk about the brand new Big Dogs of the Valley nominees that just went up this morning. So don't miss that and more. We're going to take our first break when we come back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens. On air, online, Wednesday afternoon weather update,
very dangerous,
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Running Point on Ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. What we're going to do is we're going to play this interview with Brooke Snyder before we get Brian Tolnar at 1. So we're going to play this. When we come back, we'll get ready for Brian Tolnar coming on at 1 o'clock. So enjoy this interview with Lakeview senior Brooke Snyder. Anthony Hartwig here with a Lakeview volleyball player profile. I am joined by senior Brooke Snyder. Brooke, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Like we said, it is your senior season. It's the last go around with this Lakeview volleyball team. We're going down the stretch. Have you begun to get a little bit reflective on just the fact that it is your last time?
Yeah, it's actually crazy because we've been talking about our senior night for 4 years now, and now it's coming up next Thursday, and it's crazy it's already here, and our senior season's almost coming to an end.
So you guys have been talking about it for a long time. So I got to imagine that there were some thoughts about what it would look like, what you guys would be at when you were seniors back when you were freshmen. What were some of those conversations? What were some of those expectations that you had back then? And how does it compare to where you are now?
Well, we've always all been pretty close, and so we've always just hoped that it stayed that way, and that for senior year we can have a really good season, and that on senior night that hoping for a win, and just that everything looks good and we all play well together and everything.
You guys have been off to a fantastic start this season so far. Just a one loss in conference, and then that one loss in the Perry Invitational over the weekend. But still a great start to the season. I know last year left you guys hungry. We've talked to Coach Guthrie about it. We've talked to some of your teammates about it. The way last year went left you guys hungry. From your perspective, how much did you kind of look forward to this season? How much were you just motivated to win this season, especially in the summer workouts?
In the summer workouts, we definitely put in a lot of work, and we were hoping that this season would turn out better, and we're definitely really hungry for the wins. It stinks the 2 losses that we had, but we're just gonna learn from that and work through it for the tournament time. So
not many teams make a trip like you did up to Perry to play at a big invitational with a lot of teams there, a lot of teams that really showed out and a lot of talent there. What was that like for you guys? And what was the experience like going a little bit, traveling a little bit to play and being exposed to some teams that were unfamiliar to you guys?
We really enjoy going to that tournament. It's fun all around. It's a good team bonding moment, and just to play all those teams that we wouldn't normally see around here. It's a really good experience.
All right. I know you guys do a lot of team bonding things. What's your favorite team bonding exercise that you were able to do this summer and this year that has made this group so tight-knit and so good with chemistry?
We do a lot of team bonding, but one of my favorite things that we didn't get to do it this year. It didn't work out, but we usually have a scavenger hunt, and there are different teams our coach makes for us, and we have to go around Cortland and take pictures and find things and mark off a checklist, and whoever wins and kind of gets bragging rights and everything.
I've heard some rumors that there's also a yearly prank put on Coach Guthrie. Has that happened yet this year? Can we talk about that?
Yes, so there actually is a yearly prank that we do, but we have not had the chance to do it yet. We do it at our team sleepover, and
keep it on lock, right?
It's really funny. We've put forks in our yard, slices of cheese on our windows, and we really enjoy doing that. It's a fun activity we do.
Who comes up with that kind of stuff? Like slices of cheese. I've heard forks in the yard. I've heard of that, but like slices of cheese on the window. Who's the mastermind of these kind of these pranks?
Usually it's been the seniors decide what they want to do for the prank, and they kind of lead it and drive us around and everything. So this year we'll have to come up with something real good for when we do that.
So how excited are you that you get to be the mastermind this time around? You get to be the one that calls what you guys are going to do, and you get to be kind of the leaders of the nefarious group of volleyball players on that sleepover night.
Yeah, it's definitely really exciting, and we have a lot of creative people throughout our 5 seniors, so I'm sure we'll come up with something good.
This group of 5 that you guys have been playing with for so long, you guys have been one of the dominant programs throughout your 4 years. Now that you're in your last season with them, and I'm sure the relationship continues to grow every year, in what ways this year have you grown even closer to these 5 seniors? And if you had to pick one that you maybe grew the most as far as a friendship with over the last 4 years, what senior do you think is the one that you have just gone from maybe just casual friends in freshman year to just the best of friends now this year?
I think I've definitely grown the closest to Maddie Bayes because we've both been passers in the same situations, and we kind of can bond over that. And because we're the only 2 seniors kind of that position, and so yeah, I think that's really brought us a lot closer with volleyball and everything.
I know you take a lot of pride in that defense, you and Maddie both, but this year you've been swinging it pretty well as well from that outside. What's the better feeling in volleyball, the big dig or the big kill?
You know, I've gone back and forth from this because I really do enjoy getting kills and I love playing outside and everything. But sometimes, you know, it's just to get a really good dig from, you know, we play some really amazing hitters. So it's just really exciting when you get that really good up. So I'd say.
One of the things that has always impressed me about the digs that you guys are able to get in other teams do it too, like the play isn't over when you put that ball up in the air. You have to get up and be ready for whether it be a next hit, cover the hitter, whatever it may be. When you go down to the floor to get a dig, is there that second of panic of I better get up in time to be ready for the next play?
Yeah, definitely. It's for digging, it's really, you have to be always ready. And sometimes there's those plays where you're flopping all over the floor and you just have to do everything you can to make sure the ball doesn't hit the floor.
What do you think is the craziest dig or the biggest kind of, up that you've had in your career? Can you does one pop in your memory bank? It's like, I can't believe I got that ball.
I'm not sure if one pops in my head, but I know we had some pretty good digs against Fitch when we played them this year, and that was a really good game on both sides too. So
I'm going to give you a chance to shout out maybe an opposing player for a minute because, like you said, a lot of good hitters in this conference over the last 4 years that you guys have had a chance to go up against. Who has been the hardest hitter to defend that you guys have had the chance to kind of square up against?
So actually, this is kind of funny. So, you know, Lauren Pallone, I've played against her. She's in my grade. She's senior. And her hits are obviously really good, really hard and everything. But I have a funny story. So my freshman year, her sister, Natalie Pallone, was a senior, and I got put in that game. And I remember my coach was telling me to scoot up and everything. And I felt I was pretty far up. I was almost at the 10-foot line. And Natalie Pallone just spikes it right down in my lap. And I just fell over. And it was definitely really crazy because as a freshman, I didn't, I wasn't a main component of the team. So seeing that was really crazy then. So.
That was your welcome to volleyball moment, right?
Yeah, it was.
How much do you think that moment shaped kind of, what you began to do and how much you kind of, got used to that atmosphere and that level of volleyball?
Yeah, it definitely really did help shape that because the next year, sophomore year, we were limited with upperclassmen. So our team was mainly, we had a lot of sophomores on our team. We were very young. So that first, my freshman year of volleyball, getting in varsity and everything is always a crazy experience because it wasn't something that happened so regularly. So that moment definitely helped shape the coming moments on sophomore year, junior, and now senior.
When we talked to Coach Guthrie about you the other week, she said the thing that she's most impressed with the growth from this year is your serving. How much work have you put in your serves this year, and how proud are you so far of your ability to really spot serve and be aggressive yet consistent with your serve this season?
Yeah, so my serve last year was definitely very inconsistent, and this year it's definitely improved. She helped me a lot focus more on my toss because my toss was more so the inconsistent part. Because anytime I miss a serve, even this year, it's mainly because my something was wrong with my toss. So she really helped me over the summer get that down and get a better serve.
What's your service line routine? I know everyone has one that they have to stick to. What's your go-to routine on the service line?
So my teammates always make fun of me for this because they say the gym goes silent because I take so long back there. But I just kind of dribble the ball with two hands, twirl it a couple times until it feels right, and then I just serve it over. But yeah, it's definitely not a very quick serving routine compared to others.
Have you ever thought about like once or maybe once in a match when the other team is used to taking so long to quick serving them?
I've never thought about that because um, yeah, I don't know. That would be good to throw them off
Maybe,
though.
maybe an idea. Roll
Yeah.
them to a false sense of security. If you
Mhm.
do, you better give me a shout out. Be like,
Yeah.
when you the other thing about this team is that you're so good at social media. The TikTok brand is
Mhm.
real for Lakeview volleyball. I know Maddie Bayes does a really good job with that, but what kind of energy does that give your team, and what does that do for this program to just have a little fun on all your road trips and be able to make those TikToks and those Instagram reels?
We really like doing the TikToks, and it's always cool to see the finished product when she's done with them. And I know everybody loves them. I'll have my principals and everything telling me that what they liked. And actually, when I always imitate the mascot after every away game, and so I'll get critiqued about that or anything. So yeah, we really do enjoy the TikToks, and I think it brings a nice it's a good way to promote our volleyball program too.
What's been the hardest mascot to come up with whatever you call it, a demonstration of?
I struggle a lot with the birds. The Canfield Cardinal and the Hubbard Eagle really I they weren't my best, but
I think the Canfield one you did the beak, right?
yeah, with my hand.
What about like which one do you think like I nailed that?
um I think maybe the pirate from South Range with like I think that one's pretty good.
All right, so I'm gonna hit it up this too. You have a lot of good gyms that you get to go to outside of your home gym. You can't use that as an answer. What's your
Mhm.
favorite road trip or the favorite gym that you get to go and play in?
So actually, I've only been to this gym once. I would say it's probably Mineral Ridge. I remember we played them last year at their place, and I just kept saying this gym is so nice. It was the first time I'd ever been there, and I just really enjoyed it. It was a really nice gym and everything.
With your gym being kind of a smaller one, do you struggle when you go to bigger gyms trying to like, you key in where the serve goes, trying to find a spot to aim it? I've heard some players struggle with that. Do you?
Yeah, sometimes when the end line is different in compared to the foul line on the basketball court. And I know at our gym, I like to sit my defense right on the foul line. And at other gyms, I'll find myself looking side to side to see where I am in compared to the end line if the foul line and end line don't match up evenly.
All right, Burke, before I let you go, got to get to know you a little bit off the floor. Got to get some rapid fire questions to
Mhm.
see what things you like off the volleyball floor. I will ask you first. What is one of your hidden talents that you have that other people might not know that you're good at?
One of my hidden talents, um, I'm not sure. I don't know if I have many. I can't I can't think of any hidden talents I have.
All right, if we were gonna take you to karaoke night, what would be your go-to karaoke song?
So I was on vacation, and I actually sung "Oops, I Did It Again" by Britney Spears on karaoke. So I'd say that one.
How would you grade your performance? Like 5, 6?
It was definitely not super fantastic. It was probably a 4 or 5, but it definitely got better as it went on. The nerves kind of settled out.
Do you guys sing on the bus? And if so, who's the loudest singer?
We don't sing on the bus, but sometimes Emma Schmader, she'll walk around singing her songs and everything, and it's kind of funny.
All right, when you think about yourself, sunrise or sunset, are you a night person or a morning person?
I don't wake up early very often, but I do think I would rather see a sunrise than a sunset because since I don't wake up early that often, it's kind of making it like a big deal and going out to see the sunrise and everything. So I'd say sunrise.
What is one of your guilty pleasure desserts that you will always put in your body no matter how unhealthy it is?
I really love gummies and like Haribo gummies, any kind they make, I really like them.
Who is the one player on the team that is the biggest goofball?
Um, I would probably have to say a lot of the sophomores, they're goofballs. I'd say Mallory Mylock, she's a goofball, and Reagan Price too. They're both.
Who takes things the most serious?
Even though I just named Reagan for the goofball, she definitely knows when to calm it down and be pretty serious and everything.
If you had to pick one teammate that kind of, embody that perfect teammate characteristic or the selflessness, the one that everyone kind of strives to be like, who would you pick?
I would pick Maggie Pavlansky. Yeah.
What are your leadership qualities? I know you're a senior leader. What kind of things do you like to do to lead the team?
To lead the team, I like to lead both on the court and off the court, but just little things at practice and in the games and everything. I like to bring people up, make sure they're doing good and everything, and just if someone's like down on themselves, try and bring them up and everything.
All right, Brooke, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out your support system, all the people that have been there for you throughout your career, and all the people that you wouldn't be where you are without.
Definitely all my family, my both my parents, my mom, my dad especially. So, yeah, and my teammates and my coaches and everything. And I wouldn't be here where I am without them. So.
All right, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you the best of luck the rest of your senior season, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Yeah.
Brooke Schneider from Lakeview Volleyball. You had a chance to talk with her last night, and we were happy to be able to share that interview with you, Anthony Hartwig. Richie Giuliano joining you from the Running Point, and now we have fixed the camera so we can go split screen.
There you go.
Get both of us on the screen at once. No more trying to flip between us two. And then we have Brian Tolnar popping in with us like he does every single Wednesday. Brian, thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, great to be here. It's Wednesday, talking a little bit of golf.
Yeah, and the biggest thing about this Wednesday is sectionals are upon us. Teams have started sectionals. Some of them are starting today. Some of them started yesterday. Tournament golf is a little bit of a different animal. When you look at the landscape and some of the players and teams that have really good chances to be successful in sectionals and districts, who are some teams that stick to your mind?
Well, I printed off the sheet for this week, and I think, as we start, yesterday with some of the teams up around, Northwestern Ohio and Southern Ohio, we kick it off today, and we go this week and next week, and, obviously try to get a number of teams out. As I look through the Northeast district for Division I, obviously Canfield playing at Tannenhof on the 4th. They play next week. They've got Fitch, really tough. Massillon, Jackson team. Lake is always really good in that division. Warren G. Harding is in that as well. Kind of the luck of the draw, a little bit an easier path. You talk about Howland and Alliance. Both will play at Windmill Lakes on the 3rd next week with a shot. But I mean, if you look at both of those, the tougher path is definitely the one that Boardman and Canfield is in. When it comes to Division I, it's a big time powerhouse to get out 3 teams. So they'll head to Hinkley Hills they'll head to Pine Hills in Hinkley to play their divisional district on the 10th. And I think, as you look at Canfield, probably the strongest when it comes to 18 holes, top to bottom. I know they've played in a number of 18-hole events. Mike Korinsky does a lot more 18-hole events than he does 9 holes throughout the course of the season. It's really just to prepare these guys to get into sectionals and districts and give themselves the best opportunity and the best pathway to making it to districts and having a shot at going to state. So I think, as you look at them, for Division I, Canfield's definitely who I would put as a favorite in that region. And then you go into the Division I girls. I mean, another sectional powerhouse at Old Avalon. You got Austintown Fitch, you have Boardman, you have Canfield, and both of those teams have been back and forth pretty much all year, playing head to toe better than everybody in the region. You've got Howland, you've got Hubbard in that region as well. I believe they get 4 out. I wouldn't be surprised if Boardman and Canfield finish 1 and 2, depending upon how they play. Either of them could go 1 or 2. Hubbard would sneak in there to 3 or 4 spot, and then you're looking at maybe an Aurora. Howland has a little bit of a shot, but their path is a little bit tougher, and then they play their district on October 13th at Brookledge. So really have a nice pathway for the Division I girls, a little bit easier pathway than the boys do. And then you flip it over to the Division II. I think the easiest of all the divisions is the one that South Range is in. They're going to be playing at the Elms today. They've got a lot of teams from that Canton area in their little sector, the way that the map was drawn up, and I think that they have the easiest path to get out. And unlike what we have for Division II boys, you've got Windmill Lakes today as well. You've got Champion, you've got Girard, you've got Hubbard, you've got Liberty, Niles, Poland, Struthers, and Ursuline. And I think Ursuline's got the head and shoulders above everybody in that little sectional based on how they play. And for them, what's nice is, you play your sectional at Windmill Lakes, and their district is going to be at Windmill Lakes. So they're going to play this golf course 2 weeks in a row. So you're going to be, very familiar with the place that you play. And I think, as it's turned out throughout the course of the season, Ursuline's been a little bit better than the rest of those teams. Now they will get 3 out of that regional, and I could see, Ursuline, Poland, possibly Hubbard getting out of that division. I'm not sure how Garfield is. Field, Salem's kind of been up and down. Streetsboro's nothing spectacular. Champion has a couple decent golfers on their team. But I think, it's a tough division to get out. And I think a lot of the teams are really going to cannibalize themselves from this area based on the number that's going to get out, much like Division III. And I think you go in Division II girls at Pine Lakes. I mean, pretty much all eyes are on this region. It has every great team that's played well all season. Cardinal Mooney, you've got Champion, you've got Girard, Lakeview, McDonald, Mineral Ridge, Niles, McKinley, Poland girls, who I think will get one of those spots, as well as the Ursuline girls, and then Struthers is in there as well. So, just like the Division II with the boys, there's a ton of great teams locally in that region. It's a shame only 3 of them can get out, because there's some easier pathways. South Range was lucky in Division II, where they've, pretty much, lucked out of not having to go to Windmill Lakes, and it gives them an easier path. Not that they need it, because I thought they would get out of either of those. But I mean, it's nice to have an easier path to get there, because there's going to be a lot of teams that don't get out that have a ton of potential to do some damage at districts that just not going to make it out. And then you go into the Division II girls at the Pines, and this is down in Massillon as well. You got Heartland Christian, you got Jackson Milton, They're playing for a shot at Sable Creek on October 6th. In that one, you got Canton Central Catholic, you got Canton South, Lake is in there. So you've got Lake Ridge Academy. There's a ton of good teams coming out of that district before you head to the Division III, which I think is, just like Division II has a lot of strong teams. I mean, you go with the boys, you got Riverview, you've got Badger, Brookfield, Jackson, Milton, JFK, LeBray, Matthews, McDonald, Newton Falls that I think are going to battle it out for 3 spots there. And then you go into the Salem Hills match, which is going on today. Canton Central Catholic, Cardinal Mooney, Columbiana, Crestwood, Latonia, Lakeview, Lowville, Mineral Ridge, Heartland Christian, Springfield, United Local, and Wellsville. I mean, it's a toss-up coming out of there. I mean, Cardinal Mooney's extremely strong through 3 spots. They had 2 girls playing in their lineup the majority of the season. The girls are going to play at Pine Lakes in their district tomorrow. So not having them in the lineup means they need a little bit more of help in that 4 and 5 spot. But I think, the rest of those, I mean, it's going to be a battle coming out of Salem Hills today. And everybody's dealing with the same thing right now too, is how you change and how you adjust and adapt to the conditions. You've been playing in firm and fast conditions all summer long, and the weather's been in the 80s. Now we head into what I call, the scoring season, where you have to find ways to play good. You have to find ways to squeeze out pars and bogeys in high winds, in rain and sleet, and just cold weather. Keeping your hands warm, keeping your feet warm. Playing with a stocking cap and extra layers is a little bit different. The ball doesn't travel quite as far as well. So I mean, you've got to make a lot of adjustments. Heading into the fall, you're playing lower shots, you're playing bump and runs as opposed to flying it there. And I think the game changes, as we hit, this week. I think we're about a month ahead of schedule when it comes to poor weather. It feels like we're going into November and we haven't even hit October yet. So, hopefully the weather will change and help out the kids trying to qualify through sectionals and districts. But you have to be prepared for these conditions, because it seems like just about every year we have that cold spell during sectionals and districts. And heck, it's even snowed down at the Scarlet Course down in State in late October. So I think we're probably not too far from seeing conditions like that as the kids play.
So what you're saying is go and watch all of the Tolnar Take videos, right? And implement that in your game for sectionals.
Absolutely. The timing was good for those, because it really prepares you for getting to play in the elements that the kids are going to play in now, which is very, very different than what they played in all summer long.
Did we film any of those in the elements?
A little bit higher. You're going to have a couple more shots in the holes. You're going to have an extra chip shot or 2. So I think, the players that keep their composure and, hey, if you make a bogey or double bogey, that's possible this time of year, where in the summertime you're not expecting it.
Brian, who are some individuals that we can shout out real quick that might have a good chance of not just getting out of district, but making a run in regionals and maybe getting themselves to qualify for the Scarlet Course down at State?
Well, I think if you talk about the individuals, I see, the top 2 or 3 at Canfield. I see the top 2 or 3 at Ursuline. Top 3, especially at Cardinal Mooney, is played exceptional all year. Poland girls have that as well. You've got the 2 girls that played for Mooney that are going to play as an individual. Unfortunately for them, they don't have enough to make a team to get through there. But I think there's a lot of opportunity if your team, doesn't make, especially in those tougher regions where you have so many local teams that have played good all throughout the course of the year. I think team-wise, I mean, Boardman and Canfield, they definitely get out in the girls' side of it. Whether you get an individual 2 out of Hubbard, individual or 2, I think Ursuline will go. I think Poland will go out of sectionals. And I think based on how they played in, the conference tournaments as well, really is going to translate into, what you're going to see at the sectional level and giving themselves an opportunity to make it to district to possibly qualify for the state tournament.
You talk about making a lot of adjustments come sectional play, whether it's the cold weather, whether playing a full 18. I mean, I think that's the biggest jump. You talked about it. There's only a few amount of teams around this area that play full 18 matches throughout their season. So, for those teams that have played a lot of 9-hole matches, what do you think the biggest adjustment is from the regular season now to the postseason? What do they need to do to be mentally locked in once you usually get to that, 16th hole?
Well, I think for the teams that, have not played schedule like what Canfield has played, for example. They're like the anomaly when it comes to preparing for 18 holes. A lot of their kids play 18-hole tournaments all summer long. I think for the kids that only have the opportunity to play those 9-hole matches after school, during the week, it's a lot. The endurance factor, becomes a factor because you go back to school, the weekends haven't been, very great weather-wise to be able to go out and practice and do all the normal things. A lot of ranges are closed because they're underwater right now. So I think, having the opportunity to play 18 holes all summer long builds that endurance. And when you go back to school, you're tired. I mean, you're studying, you're doing your work, you're doing your homework after school, you're practicing till it's dark, and it's dark at, 7 o'clock now. So I think you lose a couple hours, on the back end of being able to practice and play as well. But I think that's where the advantage really goes to a team like Canfield, because they've played and they play all these 18-hole tournaments where it may be on a Friday during school. The kids are good in the classroom. They're good enough to be able to skip a day of school to play in an 18-hole invitational. Back when I played high school golf 20 some years ago, you had the Cardinal Classic was the only one, and I believe that started like my sophomore or junior year in high school. So it was a long time ago, and that was really just to get high school teams prepared, and they tried to do it late in the season. Now it's a little bit different. It starts in the summer. There's so many 18-hole tournaments that teams can juggle and have that opportunity. But I think anytime that you're playing 18 holes and, it starts to wear on you, especially like 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, where you need to finish strong at times. And those are the areas that I think, the teams that play a lot of 18-hole invitationals have a bigger advantage over the rest. And I think when it comes to, just sheer playing, knowing when to take an extra club because the golf ball's not flying as far in the cold air. So if you're hitting an 8-iron 150 yards, I mean, it would not be uncommon to hit 7-irons from 150 yards. You're hitting a lot of wind, a 6-iron from 150 yards. So you really have to adjust and adapt what you're doing on the golf course. You don't want to have that high flight because when the ball lands in the fairways this time of year, it's not going to roll very far. So it's going to be depending upon getting something that has a little bit lower trajectory or carrying it and saying, hey, this is as far as I'm going to carry it. And that's as far as I'm going to hit it off the tee. So that may mean I need to hit 2 or 3 clubs more in the holes that I'm normally hitting 9-iron pitching wedge or an 8-iron into. Now I'm hitting 3, 4, 5, and 6-iron into. So I think it's a huge advantage. And I think you really need to take advantage of the par fives, giving yourself that opportunity to hit those par fives in 3, as opposed to in the summertime where you have the roll, you're hitting them in 2 or getting them up around the green. Now they're true 3-shot holes. So I think, how you position yourself, how you adjust on the golf course, and how you adapt and how you try to score, I think is, if you go into the mindset that I'm going to hit all the par fives in 2, and if there's a reachable par 4, I'm going to try to drive it. You're not going to have that much success in the fall, and especially when you get 15 or 20 mile an hour winds like we've had the past couple of days, and then you're throwing in some rain and sleet on top of it.
We are definitely excited for results to start coming in today and over the week, and next week we'll have sectional results to talk about. We'll be able to talk about who did well, and we'll also be able to talk about the next round in districts and who has the chance to get out of there. Brian, as we kind of advance into the next segment, we missed you last week, so I'm sure there's a lot to promote and talk about Mill Creek Metro Parks, what's been going on down there, what is going on in the next coming week. What kind of things you got for us as far as the week in the Metro Parks?
Well, we've got basically a good prep week for us. Friday we have a golf outing. Saturday we have a golf outing. Sunday we have the U.S. Kids Tour here. It'll be the last kids tournament that we have through the course of the year, and that follows up on Tuesday with our PGA Hope program. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, and then we kind of kick off the week with our fall junior golf camp on that Sunday. So for the next probably 3 weeks. I want to say 3 weeks till the 23rd of October. We will run our fall junior camp, which is sold out like the PGA Hope is right now. So the support and the interest level in both of those has been off the charts throughout the course of the year. So, we're getting to the point where we just finished up Green Cathedral. We have the Youngstown Peace Race this weekend. We have the Youngstown Marathon. And then we also have one other one by Holy Name, I want to say, in November, maybe the first week. So we've got like 3 races left. So we're, kind of on the downturn there. We're getting prepared to get our building here ready to be demoed and under construction with the upstairs project that's going to kick off here the 4th of December. And then we've got our other project, our Health and Wellness Center, the old warming house at the Wick Recreation area. That's going to open December 1st. So, as we finish up one construction project, we'll start another one with the hopes to have the building here at the field house done the 1st of May, early spring next year. So a lot of stuff, a lot of meeting with architects, a lot of meeting with the asbestos remediation teams, and you name it. There's a lot of activity, and we're just going to get to the process of probably about a week out from laying out the 2023 golf season, the 2023 recreation season, which will be flag football again, and all the wonderful things that the recreation team has on deck with that new building. So we'll have the opportunity to do some things indoors there. We talked about doing indoor cornhole during the course of the winter when that building gets open, because we'll have a little banquet area. We'll do some indoor Pilates. We'll do some yoga in there as well, and some dance classes. So, there's a lot of cool things on the horizon, in addition to the winter sports of sled riding and getting prepared for, all of that stuff as well. So we're working on a food vendor to come in at the Wick Recreation area, because we'll have a food portion to that. That'll be opening hopefully within the next couple months. We'll get that ready to go and be ready by the 1st of the year. So got a team shop coming up there, and just getting the staff and everything acclimated with everything that we've got going on. So a lot of cool things happening here as we wind down the 2022 season. 2023 gears up relatively quickly, just around the corner.
And when you talk about the kids tour coming to Mill Creek, what is the age group for that? And is this just a local kind of tournament, or they come from all over the country to play in this?
This one here is a local. It's based out of Cleveland, Ohio. We host 2 events. We host a spring series with them. We did one in May, and we'll do one again in October every year. We started off in October, I want to say about 6 years ago. I think it started the second year that I was here. And they basically travel all over the state of Ohio, basically from Mansfield on up, down towards the Worcester, Akron, Canton corridor, as well as out on the west side of Cleveland. So it gives kids the opportunity, ages 6 and under, all the way up to 15, the opportunity to play. And you're playing by division by where your age is. So if you're, with the exception of 6 is 6 and under, 7-year-olds play against 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds play against 8-year-olds, 9s, 10s, and so on down the line. So it gives you the opportunity to play and compete and earn one of those spots for Pinehurst next year in 2023. So, they do a spring series, a summer series, and a fall series. This is part of their fall series. We're the second to the last event. The following week, they play at Red Tail in Cleveland for their tour championship. And then that will be the last opportunity kids will have this fall in our region to be able to gain points to go to Pinehurst. And then the top 5 get player of the year points. So, everybody's sort of jockeying for position as they go into the fall, into that tour championship, to try to get a lead or try to get ahead going into that, because the points are double in the last event that they play. But it's a great opportunity for kids and parents as well, because if you're 12 and under, it's mandated that your parents has to caddy for you. You need an adult to caddy for each kid. So it's a great bonding event for the parents and the kids to be able to play. And it's, fun to be in the ropes and to be able to do that, because I've had the opportunity to do that as well.
All right, it is time for our favorite part of the week, Tolnar's Take. We're going to play it, and we're going to bring you back to talk about it afterwards.
Welcome to another YSN Golf Tip of the Week. Today we're going to be talking about a ball positioned above your feet in an uphill lie, where I've got a slope to contend with, where my feet position are going to be a little bit below the golf ball. The golf ball is going to be above my feet. A couple things that you want to remember when you hit a shot like this is, because of the slope is going this way, the golf ball position is going this way as well. So we're going to have to play a little bit of a draw or a hook in the ball flight. So we're going to aim a little bit to the right of the target, maybe 15 or 20 yards to the right. And we want to position ourselves to have good stability through the shot. So a couple of things that we're going to do to make this shot come off without a hitch is, when we get over it, I'm going to take my normal club selection. I'm going to aim to the right of the target a little bit more than I normally would. I'm going to choke down on the club a little bit, because this level of ground is a little bit higher. I want to choke down on the club, and I want to make sure that I'm swinging with the level of grass and ground that's right around me. So I want to make sure that I have a nice clean hit. So in order to do that, I want to make sure that I have my weight favored to the centers, to the front a little bit more than I normally would. Normally we're looking at the shoelaces, the centers of our feet for a normal golf shot. In this instance, because we have this hill to contend with and the tendency is to lose our balance backwards, we want to favor a little bit more weight here, and we want to swing with our upper body just a little bit more. So as I take my grip, I'm going to choke down on the club a little bit so you see some more of the club end come out towards the back of the grip there. You're going to aim a little bit further to the right, and the ball flight is going to be that right to left ball flight. Should fly at a normal flight. When it hits the ground, it's going to come out with a little bit of top spin, so you got to allow some run a little bit. But it should look something like this. Maintaining good balance and swinging with the ground will help you very much with this shot, because our balance is the first thing that's lost when we have that uphill lie. So we want to make sure that we're choking down on that club, we're swinging with the ground, and we're keeping the weight on the fronts to centers of our feet in order to hit a good shot. For more tips and more YSN golf tips, go to YSN Live, millcreekmetroparks.org, 330-740-7112.
It should look something like this, and one take Tolnar just does a perfect shot.
Pretty good looking swing there.
Pretty good looking swing, Brian.
Not bad. I wish I played more, but not bad. But yeah, those tips are probably the most helpful, especially this time of year when the ground is a little bit slick. Richie had first view of that one because he was part of those, the uphill, side hill, downhill lies. But I think they're probably most important. I think there are a lot of golf lessons and golf tips that really go unannounced. Everybody hits it good off of flat surfaces. When we teach people golf lessons, we really teach them off of flat and level surfaces. So we're getting them to swing good in the fairway. We're getting them to swing good on the level lie when it comes to the rough. But a lot of people encounter golf courses that have a lot of hills and a lot of terrain, and you have to be able to make the necessary adjustments to get the golf ball to come off the way that you're looking for it to come off. So I think, having these ones, for me, are probably the most important tips when it comes to the troubleshot series, because it could, really change the way that you play and drastically change the number that you score on a hole. If you don't line up correctly, like this one's, the ball's above your feet, so you have to play that hook shot. So if you played at the center of the green, you're going to miss the green 20 or 30 yards left of the green, because that ball is moving that, a significant amount of side spin from right to left. So I think if you don't make those adjustments and you hit some hard pan, the ball will have the tendency to run, just like it would off the lower portion if the ball was below your feet, because it's the opposite, left to right. So, knowing where to be able to set up properly, I think is going to help you quite a bit. And knowing what the golf ball is going to do, because it's going to be drastically different with each one of these shots. In this particular case, where we have the ball above our feet and you're playing that right to left shot, when that golf ball hits, it's going to hit with topspin. So it's going to run out a little bit. So if you have a back pin placement, you're playing to the front of the green, knowing that ball is going to have enough power behind it and enough roll to get to that back spot. And if you had that front pin placement, you're going to take a club less and let the ball roll up onto that green, which is very different than the shot that we did last week, where the ball is, or 2 weeks ago, where the ball was below your feet going the other way, because there's more backspin on that one and it's going to check, relatively quick. So knowing to make those adjustments and knowing how to stand, where to position the weight, I think is probably the most important to maintain your balance through the shot. And I think if you do those things, you're going to get away with, having that lie, because you could experience this lie, in Southern Ohio. I was at a place called Steubenville Country Club that has a lot of terrain, a lot of up and down. So you can drive it in the fairway and you can have a lie just like this. So knowing where to adjust to give yourself the best opportunity to hit those greens, especially when we talk about kids, shooting for sectional score to get out of sectionals and go to districts, how to make those adjustments, and then how to make the adjustments when the ground is a little bit softer, I think, too. And how's the golf ball going to release? Is it going to stick? Is it going to run? I think are vitally important to putting good scores on the scorecard.
Brian, we thank you always for your time. We have Nate Kelly coming on from East Liverpool, golfer that is gearing up for those sectionals we were talking about earlier. We're going to bring him on if he can get. I don't know if he has a great connection right now. We have the spinning circle of death.
Yeah.
Nate Kelly.
Well, I can tell you, Nate Kelly's a very special kid. I've had the opportunity to see him play here. He's played in the Greatest Golfer, the junior series. He was part of the Greatest Golfer that raised money for the Boys and Girls Club in Youngstown at our par 3 that did a fundraiser with Todd Franco. The kids really enjoyed being around him, and they have a lot of fun with him. And I can't say enough for how much passion he has for the game and how well he shot this past week coming out of sectional shooting 77. Pretty good stuff.
Well, he's also a really good bowler, by the way.
That's what I hear.
I know he bowled a lot this summer, which took him away a little bit from the golf course more than he would want to this summer, but still putting together really good numbers despite that.
I agree. Usually people that have good touch on the putting green usually have good touch on the lanes.
I know.
A lot of guys
I was just going to ask, how much of a bowling stride can translate into golf?
There's quite a bit. I have a lot of friends that do the same. And one of the things that we find here is with all the players that play in the golf leagues that we host here, a lot of them come after Labor Day, switch to bowling. So, basically they go hand in hand. So it's a good sport, and it's, a lot of skill, a lot of technique, a lot of finesse. And I think they go hand in hand well together.
How are you at the lanes, Brian?
Not going to lie, averaged about 198 back in the day.
Not bad.
Haven't done too much. Yes. Yep. It was decent. I've got 1 300 game. Yep.
Woo!
A couple 700s, but it's always been fun. Bowled in the league. Last time I bowled in the league was up in New York. Probably, let's see, I've been here 12 years ago. But I think I bowled of the 12 years that I lived up there every year except for the last 2. So there's not much to do in Rochester, New York in the wintertime when the snow's up to your mailbox. So, you find something to do with your buddies in the off season between that. And I didn't get a chance to do this, but had I stayed up there one more year, they have an indoor curling, which I thought would be pretty cool. Indoor curling center in Henrietta, New York, which is just a suburb of Rochester. And a lot of my friends were doing that in league. So I think I probably would have taken that up had I not moved home.
Wow. That's incredible. I would love to just curl.
I just want to try it. I think it looks cool.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I guess, one last question I have for you, Brian, before we let you go. We heard a great quote a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Drive for show and putt for dough. How important is that statement when you enter postseason play coming up in the sectionals?
I think it's important on a daily basis, and I think it's very important now because if you look at how many times you're going to hit driver in an 18-hole round, there's usually at least 4 par 3. So you're hitting 14 drivers, and that's if there's not a hole that you need to lay up on. So, anywhere between 12 and 14 drivers, you're right. It is for show, but you're putting on every single green 18 holes. So I think more so now than in the summer, you have to find a way to get that golf ball into the hole, and you have to find a way to get it up and down when you miss a green, from 5 feet and in, from 10 feet and in. And as you go outside 5 feet, the percentages change drastically. As you go outside 10 feet, it gets even worse. And even on PGA Tour stats, I mean, the stats are crazy from 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, all the way out past 10. So I think, as you have the opportunity to give yourself, a shorter putt, if you can get those chip shots close, you need to be able to get those up and down. You need to grind out pars. You need to grind out bogeys. You need to avoid a big number. When scoring is so crucial this time of year, heading from sectionals into districts, 1 or 2 big numbers will damage a team score or an individual score and an opportunity to go from the sectional to the district level.
Brian, we won't want to keep you anymore. We know you're a busy guy. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to these talks every week, and we'll see you again next week.
You got it. Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek Golf, the guru, the one-take Tolnar. And now we know he's also pretty good at bowling. So go figure.
Yeah, I mean, talented guy everywhere, right?
I love how he just casually drops. Yeah, I have a 300.
Yeah.
I have a 300.
All right.
I've bowled the 700. I was like, come on. That's a mic drop moment, man. It's a mic drop moment. We hope that we are able to get Nate Kelly here in a little bit. I know he was having a couple of connection issues when he tried to get on earlier, but Richie, we got sent some info on Nate Kelly. What a season he's having this year.
unbelievable when you look at his stats. The last couple of years, especially, and then translating into this year, he was a second team all district in 20. In 2021, he was a first team all district. They haven't named the honors until after the regular season, so that's going to be coming up soon. But most
Spoiler
recently,
alert, he's going to get it.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get it. Most recently, he was a medalist and a champion in the sectionals, and then September 13th. He was a medalist and a champion in the OVAC, even part 71.
Medalist means you won it.
You won it.
So
yeah, you won sectionals.
That's
so he's moving on.
We talk about guys trying to get out of sectionals. You just go and win the dang thing.
Yeah, he won it.
Forget about hoping that my score is good enough to get me into the top 5 or top 6. Now, listen, win the thing, move on, and he'll look forward to his next round. East Liverpool, a great golf program. We saw that he did really well earlier this season. We had a big post about him breaking a couple records, breaking the score record for East Liverpool as well. So we wish him the best of luck, and we hope that we were able to talk to him, if not today, then at a later date when we can figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. That just advances our coverage when it comes to golf, right? I mean, we've talked to a couple. I mean, we got that nice quote
Matty Zines
with Matty Zines.
Dynamite drop in, man.
So, yeah, I mean, just to be able to talk with more golfers, get them the opportunity to showcase their talents a little bit. And, I know last night Steve Leslie kind of broke some ground doing some interviews with some cross-country runners and track. So, we were able to go out and do the Spartan Invitational, which was our first ever cross-country meet that we covered, had 3 different tents in 3 different areas where we shot that meet. So, hoping to get different things on and, hopefully we could grow the golf game a little bit more. And, I wanted to bring this up with Brian. Of course, we kind of ran out of time. It's got to be really difficult for a lot of these players, like you talked about, because you're starting in the summer, right? That's your main season. By the time you get to the playoffs, it is freezing cold.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's got to be such a hard adjustment.
It has snowed at Scarlet for a state before.
Yeah, it's just brutal.
And it looks like we got Nate Kelly, so good thing we're going to get him on. Nate, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Nate, you put a great season together so far, but, that starts in the off season and, what you're doing outside of matches. So, maybe give us a little bit of insight on what you do and what you focus on during the off season to prepare for what you've had done here so far in this season.
So in the summertime, I play summer tournaments. They can range from anywhere from being down in West Virginia to in Pennsylvania. But in the wintertime, I go to a lot of indoor facilities, just work on my ball contact and making sure that I stay loose. So when summer comes back around, I'm able to be at my full movement. I could be able to swing it nice and smooth.
When you are preparing for a match and getting ready during the week and going through practice, what is the one thing you focus on most, or the part of your game that you really want to make sure is tightened up before you get ready to compete?
Putting, for sure. It's always been putting. Ever since I've been a kid, haven't been the best putter. And it's quite odd because my dad and my grandfather, they're both the best putters I know. And I never really got the mojo from them. So I've been working on my putting stroke ever since I was a little kid.
You talked about playing in Pennsylvania and West Virginia in the offseason. Those are some very difficult and hilly courses that you play in with a lot of different terrain, a lot of up and downhill lies. How much do you think that helps you when you get back to the Youngstown area playing in a lot of courses that sometimes have some flat lies? It probably helps out a lot.
I think it helps me be more diverse. When these tournaments and sectionals and districts I'm going to play Eagle Sticks on Monday, and it's a very hilly course, and it could be wet, it could be cold, just a lot of conditions, but it's for sure hilly. And so all those hills, it helps me learn what I need to do different. So if the ball's below my feet or above my feet, I can just go back to a round where I hit a shot and I liked it and I felt and it felt good.
We talked about the parts of your game that you try to focus on the most and work on the most. What's the best part of your game? What do you think is your biggest strength out there on the course?
I don't think if there's one thing that I love to do the most, it's for sure hitting iron shots. I feel like there's nothing better in golf than hitting just a smooth iron right onto the green. But I got a new driver, and that's really helped me. My dad and I, we've collaborated on it. We worked on it, so that's helped me a lot. Keeping the ball in play, really, it's all that matters. You don't have to hit it 300 yards, but as long as it's in the fairway.
Talk about your dad being a big influence on your game. Outside him, who are some mentors that you go to maybe when you're having a difficult round or you need to work on a few things?
It always starts with my dad, then my grandfather, who's really helped me when my dad, he can't be there, which is not a lot. He's always there, but my grandfather. And then I just got a lesson maybe a couple weeks ago by Ted Ossoff up at Valley Golf in Columbiana, and he's one of the best around. I'd say one of the best in Ohio even.
We just got done talking with Brian Tolnar, and we were talking about sectionals, and he had a lot of great things to say about you. I know he's seen you play multiple times with the greatest golfer down there at Mill Creek, but he was bringing up the conditions that we might see for sectionals. As we get into October, it gets colder, it might get wet, it might get windy. All those conditions, which one is the one that you're hoping never happens? Like, which one is the one that you would think is the hardest to golf in? Is it the rain? Is it the snow? Is it the cold, the wind? Which one is the hardest for you?
Knock on wood that this doesn't happen at districts, but windy. I don't really like wind, a whole bunch of wind, which at districts, I don't really like wind. It was at sectionals, it was pretty windy, but I feel like rain is okay as long as I bundle up. That's all that matters. And just the wind, yeah. If it's into you, if it's not with you, it's you have to calculate it a lot.
Yeah, how do you change your gameplay? When you're playing a wind like that, is it like hitting a lot of stingers, trying to keep the ball low, getting out of the wind? How does your gameplay differ from when it's a nice 80-degree sunny day between when it's rainy and windy?
When it's windy and rainy, my dad always told me this. He always says the club up. So I don't really try to affect the ball as it going higher or lower. I just take a little bit more club to it.
Everyone has a different style on the golf course. Are you more aggressive or more conservative, or do you think there's times when you're both?
I would say I'm a little bit of both, but it also depends on how it is in the day, if it's windy, if it's rainy, and where I'm playing at. There are a lot of courses like my home course. If you're aggressive, you could put yourself in a lot of trouble, and it could lead to high scores.
Being such a great golfer in this valley, I'm guessing that you've been able to connect with a lot of other greatest golfers, I guess you could say, around this area. Who are some of the people that you've kind of looked up to and, maybe have modeled your game after a little bit?
Well, the first person I would say for sure, I just met him 2 years ago. His name's Chaz Zakoniak out of Struthers. He super fun, cool. Then down in Indian Creek, I just played with him, Noah Tweedy. He's young, and I feel like I'm helping him out a lot, but in turn, he's helping me. And then Luke Eister, he's playing college golf at Notre Dame, and yeah, he's really helped me too.
Who's someone you haven't gotten to play with yet that you would love to play around in golf with?
I would have to say the guy that runs Greatest Golfer, probably Todd Franco. He's a super cool guy, and he's pretty funny. And when he and I, we talk a lot, we get connected, and we'd have a really fun time.
All right, if you went to golf with Todd Franco, what's your go-to course? What are you picking around this area?
Well, if we're playing a match, I'd have to take him to Mill Creek. But if we're having fun, I want to see him go low. We probably go somewhere like Beaver Meadows, or if we get the chance, I'd love to play the Lake Club. It's a super difficult course, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah. I love the competitive spirit. Well, if that's on the line, let's go to Mill Creek. What's your favorite course that you've ever played?
Avalon Lakes, hands down. We play there every year. I played there every year, 2 to 3 times for the greatest golfer in the Northern Ohio PGA. But every time I get to play there, I don't play the best, but it's really hard to have not a smile on your face because it's just a great place.
Everybody's got that favorite club that they go to and say, you know what, this certain club, I hit straight. I know my distance down to a T. For Nate, for you, what is that club? I know you talked about your irons a little bit being consistent. What is your go-to club in your bag that you know you're going to hit straight and you're going to hit well about 90% of the time?
My 3 hybrid, it's a pretty old club, but I got in my 8th grade year, and this is the second one of the same, but because my sophomore year we played Buckeye round 2, and so I'm on a hole going straight up the hill, and I pull out my hybrid, and I put it down on the ground. I just place it down there, and I feel it. I hear it, and it didn't feel. So then I took a backswing, and like as it got to my shoulder, it snapped in half. And to this day, I have the club, but I still have no clue what happened to it.
It wasn't a wood club, was it?
It was not a wood club. But the funny thing is, the following week, I was like, Dad, is there any way we can get another one? He was like, yeah. He went online, he got it. Box came in, and I opened it up and I placed it down on the ground, and it was a left-handed club.
Oh, that doesn't work. Well, final question I have for you before I let you go. I'm always interested in the mental aspect of golf because you have to be so mentally strong to be able to come back from a bad shot or a bad hole. What kind of things do you do to keep yourself mentally even through the course of a meet or a match?
Honestly, just having fun. I've learned throughout my years that, we're only this age once, and I'm a senior. I don't have too many more left, so I'm just enjoying every moment. I'm having fun. I'm meeting new people, and normally when I play around the golf, I'm having a good time.
I got 2 questions for you. One, is that a good hat you're wearing there?
It is, in fact, a good hat.
Okay. Solid channel. Love that. Second off, some goals for you for this season. Obviously, you've already accomplished a lot throughout your career, being a first-team All-District honoree last year. And, I think you're going to get that again this year. But, what are some personal goals for you?
Personally, I would like districts I'd like to advance. That's the dream. The dream is to go down there next Monday, shoot a pretty good round, and make it the states for that'll be my last hurrah.
All right, Nate, we wish the best for you. We're hoping for that. We're rooting for you. Thank you so much for your time. We wish you the best of luck, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Nate Kelly from East Liverpool and the good hat. Good catch.
Good hat. That's a good channel. I noticed it right when he came on, and I was like, that's a good selection by him. I love that channel. Those guys have a lot of fun trying to grow the game of golf. So, I wish him nothing but the best. It sounds like he's off to, a great start, already a champion in the OVAC, and then most recently a sectional medalist and champion as well. So wishing nothing but the best for Nathan Kelly. And, it was interesting to talk with him because I think he's got a great play style. We've already heard from Brian Tolnar talking about how good he has been. Being able to watch him in person at the Greatest Golfer, and that's only going to prepare him for when he gets to the district, and hopefully he can advance. Hopefully we get to see him at the Scarlet and Gray course in Columbus.
Yeah, that would be the ideal thing. I mean, what a last hurrah that would be to say you qualified for state and you get to go down and play at Ohio State.
Yeah,
and play where the big boys play their golf matches.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, that's a gorgeous course. I mean, I've been down there a couple of times. Gorgeous place to play, and a very fortunate opportunity for those kids. And he talked about it as well. The Lake Club. He's been able to play at the Lake Club. Us at YSN, we were fortunate to play there for the Youngstown State baseball golf outing 2 years in a row. And he's right. It's very difficult, but it's one of the most gorgeous courses right there off the lake. It's got some great views, and it's in such great shape and great condition. They do an unbelievable job with course management on that course.
I don't golf, so I wonder what's harder, the South Course at Mill Creek or the Lake Club, because I know they're both tough.
The South Course in Mill Creek is tight, man. You got to hit your drive straight, or else you're going to have a very frustrating day.
I know, and the thing about Mill Creek, they make the roughs rough.
They're rough. They're thick. If you're a $150 out, you can't hit your 8-iron. You better be clubbing up to a 7 or a 6 because it's hard to get it out of there. But good luck to Nate. Good luck to all these golfers. He's already taken care of business, right, in the sectional. So He's good. That was on Monday that he was able to get that win. So congratulations to him on that. And, we also have a a lot coming up on the docket. Brian went through the list, and I think he gave you every district. So there's not much left for us to say when it comes to that.
Going on today, I think today's the last day. Everyone should be having results in after today.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get results in and try to get as many of these winners and sectional winners and district qualifiers out as possible on the website. So make sure that you are tuned into ysnlive.com tonight, because we're going to have a lot of content. Richie, you're going to be at Coco's Pizza, Canfield interviews with Coach Pavlansky, a couple more Canfield seniors. We're going to have Jake Silak at the Post Office Pub for Middle Ridge, Coach's Corner, a couple player profiles for them. And then I think it's Boardman night as well.
Yeah,
tonight.
DJ Dodo always does it with Romo online, always trying to get a player in person at some point. So, thanks to all of our sponsors for making this happen. And we're also going to have a lot on the docket when it comes to, volleyball, where we had tennis. Girls soccer is coming up tonight at 7 and 8 o'clock with Gerard at Poland and Warren G. Harding at Ursuline. So, you got, I think, 4 or 5 volleyball matches, tennis, and then 2 or 3 girls soccer. So, a lot going on the website tonight. So, I guess you're going to have a lot of fun.
I am going to have a lot of fun. But when people are out doing the remote interviews, that's when, it's nice, because it's almost like it's less work. It's just like, let's put these up. Let's get these up. Yeah. And my goal always is to get 100 per week. And we've hit that a couple of times already in the fall season. So if we can get 100 per week and get 1,000 by the end of football season, Anthony will be a happy camper.
And we're going to have Louisville's head coach and Vinny Ballone also today, which is pre-recorded. We'll post that on the website, so it's not going to be live or anything, but we'll have that as well towards the end of the week.
Shout out to Ian O'Brien for taking it upon himself to do that. I know he's done a couple of Louisville games. He's been kind of someone that has hopped around between Louisville's at times. He's been Niles' guy at times as well. But great job to just take it upon yourself to do those interviews, and we can't wait to have an interview with Vinny Pallone on the website.
I mean, I think Ian O'Brien's brother would pop in and say that he's a true Niles Red Dragon at heart, but he's done a couple Jackson Milton interviews as well. So he's kind of been all over the place this year. So thanks to him for, his hard work and, getting out there, and, it's our first one with Vinny Ballone. So it's going to be a fun one. There's definitely a lot to talk about.
Long time coming, Rich.
Yeah.
Long time coming. We're happy. We're happy that we're going to have that. So that'll be on ysnlive.com tonight as well. You head over to ysnlive.com/live for all the games that Richie just pointed out. And Rich, while you have the schedule, do you want to go through exactly what volleyball games we have as well?
Yeah, so we'll start 5:30 is our first serve. So a little bit of a different time. Matt Morrison will be on the call with you. It is Matthews at Badger, so he's staying in his home gymnasium tonight. We've got Brooke at Beaver Local. That is Michael McKenzie at 7 p.m. Cardinal Mooney at Crestview. Noah Doty, we talked about that one earlier. Cheney is at Niles. Ian O'Brien's going to do those interviews and hop over to back to his
full night for Ian.
Home layer into Red Dragon territory. We had tennis today. McDonald at Struthers. That occurred at 3.
Correct.
Well, it will occur at 3. And then you got
Did
Gerard.
We just hop in the DeLorean and we're going in the future?
I've been up all day.
It's okay.
Gerard at Poland. Girls soccer, 7 p.m. Matt Marr will have that one for you. And then 8 p.m., Warren G. Harding at Ursuline. Dom Polkovich and Rowan Urbach will have that one.
That's all night pure action.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
from
your last
3 to
game,
8.
8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Great night for sports. And then obviously tomorrow, volleyball gets in full swing, and so does soccer. Wednesday's always that a little bit slower day because it's non-conference days for everyone. And then Thursday's when you get right back into conference play. We're going to have a full slate tomorrow, which is going to be exciting too. And then, of course, Friday football action, and we have a great weekend ahead as well. Richie, before we get out of here, I want to give a shout-out to the new Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley nominees.
That's right.
I'm just going to go through the list of them and let you know that you can go to ysnlive.com/bigdogs to put your vote in. Voting is unlimited and ends Sunday at midnight. For volleyball, we have Delaney Ice from East Liverpool, Grace Knight from United, who's quietly putting together a strong season. United just got above 500 this week, so they're starting to get things together in Eagle Country down there in Hanoverton. Maria Razil, and one of the reasons why I think she's on this list real quick, Richie, is because she stepped into a 6-2 offense in the middle of the season and still putting up big numbers. So that's extremely hard to ask of a player to say, hey, you're just an outside hitter, and now, hey, half the time you have to set, and you have to set up this offense. So she's done a really good job with that. Gabby Bernard from Garfield, a very good senior outside hitter for the G-men on the list. Kennedy Caldwell from Champion has been leading them all season. She has over 150 kills. She's on the list. And then Courtney Clark from Howland gets on the list as well. So all new members this year, this week. So we like to see that. We head down to the football realm. Luke Courtney from United. So United has a chance to sweep football and volleyball if their community gets out and votes. We have Grant Hitchcock from Jefferson on the list. They had a great game against Niles. 25-13 win. Jake Starkey will be on from South Range. Donovan Pawlowski is on the list from Brookfield. Then we have Will Burney from Ursuline, and then Alec Del Signor from Cardinal Mooney. And Mooney has on a 2-game winning streak, and now they're 3-3 on the season.
Yeah, Mooney's looking good right now. They've had an up and down year. Of course, everybody was surprised with that game at Lindsay, but it's tough going to West Virginia. And
it's 14-0 at halftime. I think when Coach Pelini watches that game on film, he's gonna say, "We let this one go."
Yeah, but they have a winnable game. Brush coming to Cardinal Mooney. That's Friday night at Mineral Ridge, so that should be a nice game. So right now, I don't think we have one Saturday game, which is a little bit different.
Weird. That's gonna feel weird. Football is always, they have a couple of Saturday games, but it might work out where I'm assuming that Valley Christian is able to be at home on Friday because Campbell's on the road.
Yes.
And so Valley won't have to play on Saturday, and Rain Stadium only has to host one game this week as well. So they're able to just be on Friday. So both of those are usually the stadiums that play Friday and Saturday.
Yes.
And also it works out that Middle Ridge is on the road. So Mooney can come in and play their game on Friday. So it's one of those weeks. Everything works out. The teams that travel the other teams' stadiums to call home, they're able to do that on Friday. So it's going to be a jam-packed Friday night football. We can't wait for that audible call. And, of course, all the games that are on Friday night at 7 o'clock. We'll have a big preview of that on Friday, and we'll probably talk about the matchups a little bit more tomorrow as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good ones that you're going to be able to talk about tomorrow. So, I'll leave that to you. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Tomorrow we will have a couple of interviews to play for you. We're going to have Maria Manley from West Branch Girls Soccer, who, if you don't know this girl's story, I don't want to spoil too much about it, but 7 months ago she was paralyzed from the neck down.
Wow.
With a medical condition, not like an injury. They got that cleared up, and for senior night she was able to play for 5 minutes in her soccer game. And she was also voted homecoming queen this year. So a big kind of turnaround in her life. We're going to talk to her tonight, and it's going to be a great interview that we're going to be able to play with you tomorrow. Also, we'll have an interview with Cami Goski from Boardman Volleyball that we'll be able to play for you tomorrow as well. So Running Point from 12 to 2. Check all that out. Me and DJ will be on with you. I'm then taking a 22-hour break. We'll be back then. Casual Sports Podcast coming up next from 2 to 3. Power Hour from 3 to 4. And then, like Richie said, a bunch of volleyball, soccer, and tennis action on the network. Head over to ysnlive.com/live to check all that out.